Oh no, that's what makes you beautiful.
Brunch.
Hit it, boys. I heard this joke the other day. It made me think of you. What was the joke? How does The Cure start a podcast?
I don't know.
It's Friday and I'm in love.
Oh my God.
Isn't that good?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's not as good as it's Monday and people are pissed.
Right. That was the That was that
was
joke,
the joke?
assumed people have heard brunch. It's very specific.
Which I'm assuming that they have if they're listening to this. You've heard some of brunch.
We should have The Cure on and ask them. And should, like,
Are they alive? I don't know.
know. Let's look at it. I couldn't name you one member of The Cure. Let's see if the Cure. There are some people who like. Do you know who Nikki Sixx is?
No.
Okay, so Nikki Sixx was in Motley Crue. He was the bass player. But that's like one of those like rock star names that like even if you're not like a big Motley Crue guy, maybe you've heard of Nikki Sixx. So I guess that was a bad example. But I wonder if The Cure has like a guy like that where when you see the name, you're like, I know who that is. Let's see. The Cure, English rock band.
Robert Smith, Simon Gallup, Roger O'Donnell,
Jason Cooper. But you know what? It's got a long list of past members, so I bet a bunch of these guys are just bozos. Robert Smith, I bet, is the main guy.
Gary X did vocals from 1977 to 1977.
Oof, that stinks. I think that like Matchbox 20 had a singer before Rob Thomas.
Really?
Like there are little things like that. Everybody likes to point out that Dave Grohl wasn't the original drummer of Nirvana, and I'm like, they're a friggin' band, dude. Like, they'd probably go through a million drummers because drummers stink. It takes a while. Know what I realized today?
What's that?
We haven't done like we haven't had like the Starbucks
The cup discussion?
no, not necessarily the cup discussion, but usually around this time of year, wherever we're recording,
that's
one
true.
will stop and bring the other, like, hey, look, they got this new crazy mocha cinnamon Christmas thing.
That's true. Yeah, usually that's how I was introduced to a flat white.
Really?
Yeah, you just brought a flat white over. I was like, we always did the surprise me.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you want a coffee? Yeah, surprise me.
I haven't had a flat white in forever. That was my...
That like is my go-to still now. Those are so good.
Really? Yeah, it's the best. You get a lot of caffeine, but also all of that steamed milk really cuts down the acidity. So if you got some silent reflux issues like Chaboy over here, it's not really going to aggravate you too much. You won't have a lot of the that throat clearing thing. I realized, by the way, silent reflux is like sleep paralysis, where I bet 85% of the people who have it don't know what it is and don't know that they have it.
I mean, I don't even know what it is.
It's
Is that why you always do the clearing throat
I had like
thing?
a major clearing throat issue, and it's not as bad anymore because I know what it is, so I know how to avoid it. But it's just a reflux related thing.
Okay.
So like less coffee, less chocolate. I've only had coffee and ice cream and chocolate ice cream today.
Hell yeah. It's going to be a great podcast, everybody.
I'm following it very well. But generally, like, I know how to, there's like the trigger foods and stuff like that.
Okay.
I don't know if I've said this on the podcast. I don't brush my teeth with mint toothpaste.
That's a trigger?
Because mint is a trigger.
Oh, interesting.
And I was going nuts trying to figure out what the hell's wrong with my throat. Why am I always clearing my throat?
Oh, there was a stage where it was real bad.
And I would like throw fits in the middle of podcasts, like turn it on, like,
you're like, what the fuck is
throw
wrong with me?
microphones against, like, beat the shit out of you. Like, very, very abusive during these podcasts because I didn't know I was clearing my throat. And went to the doctor, and they were like, "Oh, it might be some sort of acid reflux thing." And I was like, "I don't have that." Next, and got a bunch of tests done and everything, and they were like, "Yo, when does it happen?" And I was like, "As soon as I wake up." And they were like, "As soon as you wake up, or right after you brush your teeth." And I was like, "Oh shit, we might be onto something here, doc." But think about it. Like morning, you're doing coffee.
Yep.
Your this
Brushing
episode
teeth.
brought to you, by the way, by I don't know what medicine there is for acid reflux or anything. So
Brought to you by WebMD.
brought to you by WebMD.
Brought to you by WebMD. You have cancer.
Yes. Brought to you by WebMD. Have you ruled out, I don't know, like all of the worst diseases in the world?
That would
Wait,
be
that
that would
is-
be an awesome tagline for WebMD. It's just WebMD.com.
Let's not
You've
rule
got
out.
cancer. Yeah, right. You can't rule out cancer.
Let's not rule out anything. Have you ever experienced that?
yeah.
That's no fun.
Oh yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, thinking that you have like any possible disease is real tough. But when WebMD's like, could be cancer.
it's got to be this. Yeah. I without divulging my full medical history, I had like a pretty rough scare because I just had symptoms that were consistent with something horrible, and WebMD was like, "Don't listen to what any doctor tells you. It's got to be this horrible thing." And like I went to the doctor and did tests, and they were like, "Okay, so it's not this horrible thing." And WebMD was like, "What do we say though? We
Seek
said
a
he was
second
going to say
opinion."
this.
Yeah.
We said the doctor was going to like take tests and like rule out that
It's like when
this
you're
bad
watching
thing.
a movie and like nobody believes the kid who's like seeing shit. and-
Totally.
And you're like, he's been telling you the whole time.
Yeah.
And the grown-ups are like, oh shit, this kid might have been telling the truth.
Yeah.
It's like DJ's over here being like, well, WebMD's been telling me this the whole time.
And that freaked me out so much that now if I have anything weird going on, I just won't. I will not
Go to
type it
WebMD.
into
That's fair.
anything because it's fucking scary. So I mean, shout out to anybody who's gotten the WebMD scares. Shout out to obviously much worse people who have actually had WebMD be right. If WebMD is right, then that is brutal. Anyway, I try to watch the acidity in what I take in.
Fair.
That's the end of that. I am drinking way less coffee anyway, though.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Couldn't beat me.
Yeah. I do 1 cup of half calf a day now.
That is wild. I
Fucking
do
crazy.
like 2 to 3, maybe sometimes
Oh, yeah,
4
that
if
used
I'm
to
going
be-
crazy.
Yeah, I was an at least 3 a day guy for at least like 10 to 15 years. Nuts.
15 years.
Yeah.
Hey, for,
probably.
like from the age of like 15, 16, you're smoking 3 cups of coffee a day.
I mean, like
There's no way that you were in high school.
not
just like
15 years,
yeah.
but like I would say like from
10 years. That makes sense.
college on, so like 18. Yeah, that's
Damn.
I mean, yeah,
Close
that's
15 years, I
14
guess.
years. Fucking old, man.
Old as shit.
Yeah, and it's weird. I had an experience a few years ago where I just tried to get off coffee altogether, just
Nope.
out of boredom.
Nope.
And I had to go to the fucking doctors because I was getting so itchy, like
so
freaky stuff. Like I was like ripping my body apart, itching it. I was so fucking itchy, and I was like, "What the hell? What do I have? A skin condition? Is this psoriasis? Whatever."
WebMD said I had
saying
cancer.
It's the C bump. Yeah, really scary shit. And I didn't actually think I had anything bad there, but I was just like,
What's
I need
going
to
on?
stop
Yeah.
itching myself. I'm going to fucking freak out.
It's because caffeine deficiency.
I don't know what. And then one day I was at work and I was in the break room and I'm like itching myself at work. I saw the K cups and I was like, I did go cold turkey on the coffee. Let's see.
Popping a K cup, no itches.
Had a cup of coffee the next day. Not
crazy.
Done itching.
Wild.
So every time I've gotten off coffee since, I've really slowed it
weaned
to a
yourself
crawl.
off?
Yeah. Crazy. That shows how hard we are. The most intense experience we've had with trying to quit anything was one
Coffee.
time I tried to slowly drink a little less coffee. I realized today we didn't do any Christmas shit for this episode. We're so overwhelmed by all the Christmas shit we have, and we just didn't do any this week.
Yeah, that sounds about right for the podcast. Like we have so
Lock
many
into
things that
something.
we could do,
Yeah.
and then let's not do that this time.
I realized that last night because our buddy Shane from Howmouth was like, thoughts on Jack Frost. And I was like, ooh, I know we've talked about it on the old pod. Texted you, came to the conclusion, but I don't think we saw that movie.
I mean, I've definitely seen the movie.
Okay.
But it was a long time ago. And I remember it being one of those movies where, like, I wanted to see it as a kid. I dragged my mom to the movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
My mom came out of the movie theater being like, what the fuck was that?
Okay, well, apparently there's a band. He has a band in that movie.
Does he?
Yeah, that really piques my interest.
Interesting.
I'm just really thirsty for bands in non-music media.
A quick
right now.
teacher update. Still no band.
That, man, all right, clock is fucking ticking. Clock is ticking on the teacher to get to the good stuff.
Get to the crux. Get to the meat of the series.
I was thinking about making...
Play the band.
I mean, I've been listening to Wilco of late because of a teacher. Well, really, no thanks to a teacher. I'm not hearing Wilco in a teacher, so I got to go get it myself. Had to go and get it. Who's that?
What are your top 5 Weezer songs?
I really just have 2 Wilco songs that I love. Top 5 Weezer songs, by the way. An underrated one is "Keep Fishing." But favorite Wilco songs, "Hate It Here" might be like a top 15 favorite song of mine in the world. I love that song so much. And "I Got You at the End of the Century" is a great song. But I've been listening to more Wilco of late, and I was like, we should make we've talked so much about fan cams. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Yeah. We should make a fan cam of all of the husband, what's his name, Matt?
Yeah.
All of Matt's scenes set to "Hate It Here" by Wilco. "Hate It Here" is about a guy whose wife left him, or whose lady left him, and is just trying to keep busy, trying to like teach himself tasks and everything, like with like that dopey mindset that people have when they're left, of like, oh man, when she comes back, she's gonna see a whole new me. This is gonna be great. And obviously
Matt's out there being like, wow, the band is going to crush it when she gets out of prison.
right. Like, yeah. So "Hate It Here" is like, I do the dishes, I mow the lawn, I taught myself how to use the washing machine, I'm folding laundry, all this stuff. Matt's like, I am
Check out
fucking
these
running
Wilco
through my
songs.
scales. I'm picking up the drums. I'm doing my rudiments. I am just like I've never been sharper on my theory.
Gigs out the wazoo.
I am sight reading. When she comes back, she's going to be so impressed. But yeah, we should do a fan cam that's "Hate It Here" set to just like general scenes of Matt, which I feel like all of his...
Most fan cams are just like random shit.
Right. It seems like a lot of fan cams are like red carpet interviews.
A lot of red carpet interviews, a lot of weird video editing and filters thrown on top.
Okay.
A lot of strange cutting, a lot of just very random scenes that you cannot have like pieced together at all.
Yeah. So there was no Matt in this episode of a teacher.
No Claire
And
either,
No
from what
Claire,
I saw.
Right. That's so you saw
About 3/4?
The turntables have really turned here, because now we've got Pete hasn't watched all of the
Watch
most recent-
2/3, yeah.
Okay. This episode was set in the future. They skip ahead. It's still set in the past because the show's from like set in like 2014.
less in
or
the
whatever.
past.
Right. This is, yes, much less in the past. Although, in fairness to the show,
Back to the
each
future.
episode is less in the past than the previous one.
That's true.
It has
That's how time works.
What would you call it? Like a linear narrative structure, something like that?
Yeah, just the time progression.
It's different from... It's not... So basically what we're saying, Quentin Tarantino did not make this.
Mm-hmm.
Quentin Tarantino is all about nonlinear, right?
Yes.
Jumping around.
Yeah.
They start Reservoir Dogs very famously with... Actually, no, they start Reservoir Dogs, right? With them at the diner. Before
That's
they
true.
do it.
Yep.
But then cut to a whole lot of people freaking out, yelling like, what the fuck? The thing we've just done has gone wrong. And you're like, next they're going to show the thing they just did. They're jumping all over the place. They're...
Funny how time works.
Yeah. So basically that's what this episode's going to be.
It's just an examination of how time works.
You ever notice how like a lot of things that happen after things that happen before it?
You know what the funniest part about this is? I'm pretty sure we've done this episode before. We
Probably.
talked about how like Ed Sheeran loves to explain how time works in
Really?
his songs. Yeah, he's like, he always says like, 10 years ago, I was 12.
Oh, yes.
And 4 years after that,
Yes.
I was 16.
We definitely did this, yeah. And then same with everyone loved that. Was it Lucas Graham?
Oh, no, I was going to say the Five for Fighting song, where he
Oh.
just keeps going through like
Right.
15.
Yeah.
And then like 30.
Then you're gonna be 30.
Yeah. Next will come 50.
Right.
And then you're dead.
Right. It's like, oh yeah, we know, dude. I've probably also said this.
Also, wasn't that song was called 100 Years?
I think so. He says when you've only got 100 years, so it's ambitious.
He's super ambitious. And like he's like
At no
talking
point
about at
comes-
99. I have to imagine that like when I'm at 99, I got to be like, just fucking take me.
Right.
And his version of living 100 years, he's at like 99, just dying for another moment.
It also kind of leaves out like 14. You might try pot. It's tougher to come by. Then it's kind of tough to come by though if it's not legal. So you might just, I don't know, if you got any siblings, friends, or whatever, you can steal cigarettes from. Probably start smoking those. Then you're smoking cigarettes for a little bit, just trying to figure out like, am I a cigarette smoker? And like he doesn't get into any things that would make your life fewer than 100 years.
Right.
We've said this before though. I mean, I strongly believe this. I think you'll agree. You're a hockey guy. Best artist name ever.
Oh yeah, very
Five
cool.
for Fighting is the best artist name ever.
It's
And
extremely cool, and like it's so cool. In fact, that I did not realize that it was like named after hockey for the longest time.
Really?
Yeah, I just thought that it was just like just a random band named Five for Fighting.
Oh wow. So were you not super into hockey yet?
No, I
Or-
was into hockey, but like I just didn't connect the two at all, especially because the music doesn't really line up with like
Let me tell
being
you,
very tough and
I was when Firefighting came out, and I was torn because I wasn't a big fan of Superman. Is that what it's called? Superman?
Yeah.
And I just didn't like that kind of pre-Blunt era kind of singer-songwriter like that, you know? James Blunt. I like calling it just like
pre-Blunt.
Blunt era.
Yeah.
Just like James Blunt is big enough that he had his own.
I mean, he
time in
basically
music.
did.
but he kind of was like Fiverr Fighting did open the door for James Blunt. That like the
Five for Fighting
like,
walk so James Blunt could run.
totally. If we hadn't heard "I Can't Stand to Fly," we would not have been able to deal with
You're beautiful.
"You're beautiful." You're beautiful. That's a really cool thing. He does "ya" and "faha" in his chest voice. He sings that like a man. No toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
And he does the beauty in his falsetto. So he's Elton John-esque, just multiple voices across one word.
It's true.
I saw your face. He does that. Yeah, he does that a lot.
For
In
no
a
reason.
crowded place, and I don't know what to do.
I want the rest of this episode just to be you covering James Blunt as James Blunt.
We should. We've always wanted to like make a script of our podcast.
Yep.
The big plan back in the day, when this other podcast wasn't so big that it would be a ridiculous ask. The plan was for us to record an episode, transcribe it, make a script of it, and have PFT commenter and Big Cat record it
That's us.
with no acknowledgement that it's not us. Can't do that now, but I still think there is some.
I think there's an opening where we could do that, and then you just say it in like James Blunt voice.
We should maybe somebody else can do this. Make lyrics for "You're Beautiful" by James Blunt, based off of a brunch episode. Okay,
That is a challenging
so
task.
like
That is some
brunch
tough homework.
quotes, or I don't know if that could. Well, what is
What we should do is we should go through the Brunch Out of Context Twitter account and just read the tweets
totally
as James Blunt.
that shit is so hard because I can never tell if I said that quote or you said it because I ruined you.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
if it's like a devastating enough quote, I'm like, that had to have been me.
Well,
or
we've been
late
doing this
season
podcast
Pete.
late long enough.
or Pete's been around DJ too long, Pete. But yeah, You're Beautiful. I think this could work because You're Beautiful is also very Sheeran-esque, where like he's just kind of saying some shit. Like, what is it? She was with
It's
another
singer-
man.
It's singer-songwriter, but they're really like not like saying anything.
Let's see. You're Beautiful. James Blunt. Lyrics. Oh. He has a cool... That song has like a little false start. Remember that? So like the music starts. He does...
Oh, yes. Yeah,
My
yeah.
life is brilliant. And he just kind of hangs back for a little bit. Lets 4 bars pass. You're like, ooh, you didn't jump in, man. That was like... He kind of did like the... Turn my snare up.
Yeah.
So
That
yeah.
is, a very James Blunt way to do turn my snare up.
My life is brilliant. My love is pure. I saw an angel.
Of
I
that,
never.
I'm sure.
What's the next lyrics?
Of that, I'm sure.
I never knew what he said. I thought he said of Adam Shore, and I was like, "Fucking British people. I don't know who that is." Is he even British?
He's got to be 100%.
Let's see. It's time to play. Is James Blunt British?
Actually, we should just
English.
we should make a recurring bit. Is he British?
Yes. Is he All right. Starting with Haley Fitzgerald from The Undoing.
100,000% British.
Did we talk? We had to have talked
Yeah,
about this. I had
yeah,
to
yeah.
like.
Yeah.
I would by the end of that show, like all I was hearing when she talked was like, "Oi, bruv, Your Honor." I don't know. I can't. Say.
That was like a New Jersey accent or
Yeah.
whatever that was.
Yeah. So You're Beautiful is a song written by fuck whatever we had playing. By
God
the way,
damn.
this is a
James Blunt has the stupidest face.
really.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Like if
I'm
you-
looking
if-
at it, the CD single cover, and
the long hair
it's
makes it
getting
a little bit
wood.
better.
That's getting a wood. He's like in the snow, and his face is.
He's got better. Looks better with the long hair, but like there's 1,000% if we played. Is he British?
Yeah.
And you just showed me a picture of this guy, I'd be like, oh, 1,000% British.
Extremely. But he has, and I didn't realize this was sexy until it's staring me in the face right now. He's got that post shoveling sweat, you know?
Where it's like a
when you
little
throw
red.
off all the clothes and like your face is
It's a little red.
and like everything on you
Something's
is kind
shiny.
of wet.
Yeah.
But you don't know if it's wet because you shoveled or
Shoveling. What's your drop the skincare routine, King? It's like, oh, I just shovel every day for like 30 minutes and then start my day.
yeah, it's just a little like sunburn mixed with with snow. All right, so here's a crazy fact about You're Beautiful. It's a song by English singer-songwriter James Blunt. It was written by Blunt, Sasha Scarbeck, and Amanda Ghost for Blunt's debut album.
Ghost writ.
Didn't know he had a ghostwriter. Kind of
Boom.
crazy.
Nailed it.
Boom, boom. And that's been Is He British? Where we ask if somebody's British, knowing that they are, then talk a little bit about them.
I like that bit.
One of my buddies used to say this all the time. You know how people just have like things they like, either sounds they make or things they say kind of as like vocalized pauses. Like when you're setting stuff up. Do you know what you do when you're setting stuff up? When you're setting stuff up for the podcast.
No, what do I do?
You kind of have like this whistle while you work kind of thing. You know, you go like pow, 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 pow.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Like that, so that's like, and we all have things like that. Like I'm trying to think of whatever ones I do are probably the fucking worst. Yeah, it's been. I'll just kind of do that as like a tick or whatever. My best friend growing up would just be like dead silence, or watching Mean Girls or something, and you just go, she was with another man.
That is just so ridiculous.
You're beautiful. Yo, that's I think I'm in love with that song.
I think that like you have a future as a James Blunt
Impersonator.
Yeah.
Couldn't get an Elvis impersonator, but we got the next best thing.
A James Blunt impersonator who just plays You're Beautiful
Yeah.
10 times a performance.
And then they're like, okay, can you play this other song by him? And you're like, sure, let me just get the, like if you're at a bar in Nashville or whatever, you request a song they don't know, they'll just like look up the tabs or the chords or whatever. They have it on their little iPad.
Well, let me
They'll
look
be
it
like,
up. And you just play You're Beautiful.
Right, so sure, like, okay, so let's look at the track listing on Back to Bedlam. I forgot. I was like, did he have another big song? Of course he had another big song.
You're Beautiful.
No, what was his other big song?
You're Beautiful. Acoustic.
Goodbye, My Lover.
I don't even know if I know that one.
You sure do. Goodbye, my love. Goodbye, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
It made famous by The Office. I think it was like a minor hit, but let's see. Anyway, okay, so fuck Goodbye, My Lover. But say somebody says, say like we're at our bar in Nashville, and, you know, I'm playing You're Beautiful over and over again. Everybody loving it. And people are like, hey, can you play any other James Blunts? We're loving this James Blunt impersonation. But can you play another one of his songs? Sure. Just give me the song. I'll look up the tabs. They give me the song. Wise Men is another song by him I just learned.
Okay.
Here's what I'm really doing. Looking up the lyrics. Fuck the tabs. I already know what chords I'm playing. She said to me, go steady on me. Won't you tell me what the wise man said? They couldn't escape. And then just fucking do.
I love that.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
James Blunt
You've got a future.
Yeah. You could be fucking.
You should do Vineyard Nights as James Blunt.
Oh, shit. Vineyard Nights / James Blunt
collab.
Live stream fucking like every Friday night. Every Friday night.
Drop
same
donos.
Same set. Drop donos. That's not a bad idea. Somebody did ask if I was ever going to do anything like live with Vineyard Nights. It was me the other day. I was like, so am I just going to act like that shit didn't happen? Which like I'm kind of, I don't know. I was annoying enough about it for a little bit. Like I was like, do I unpin my tweet that says like, hey, please listen to Vineyard Nights?
No, I think the move though is to like let it rest for like 5 years and then come back and be like, Vineyard Nights side B. Bam.
So was chatting about this with Katie Nolan on Twitter a while ago. That's like what you do with shit. You annoy people with it a lot in the beginning, and then you rest. But you haven't stopped. You're just resting, and then once it's like, okay, now it can die.
We're back, bitch.
That's when you're really forcing that shit in there. I like it. Vineyard Nights / James Blunt. So is it like, what's the set list? Is it Vineyard Nights 1, You're Beautiful, Vineyard Nights 2,
You're Beautiful.
Vineyard Nights 3, You're Beautiful, Encore, You're Beautiful?
Yes. And then the front of the album just says DJ Bean X DJ Bean as James Blunt.
Oh my God. Fuck. This is like brunch merch opportunities. So I don't know if it's still in the store, but we have the Vineyard Nights shirt if you want to buy the Vineyard
I believe
Nights
it's still in the
shirt.
store.
And shout out to everybody who's bought it. We should make a shirt that's the Vineyard Nights shirt, but instead of Vineyard Nights, it just says you're beautiful.
Hell yes.
And then if someone is like, what does that mean? Is that like the James Blunt song?
You should do,
You're like, yeah.
You're beautiful, and then like underneath in parentheses just says it's true.
So I could just fucking do, I'll just bang out You're Beautiful 333. Because I just looked up the length.
Okay.
You're Beautiful 333.
Yeah.
That's how we're going to refer to songs going forward. In case there's multiple You're Beautifuls. You're beautiful.
I mean, there's got to be more than one You're Beautiful, right? Oh, that's what makes you beautiful.
There is. I was thinking that. There's, you don't know, that's what makes you beautiful.
Well, that's a cold open.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was the easiest open we've ever done in our lives. Let's look up songs called You're Beautiful. So
a cool thing that we have to do with this episode, by the way, is that I have to hit the record button like about every 5.5 minutes because I'm out of batteries. Oh, and it looks like we've gone from 1 bar to 0 bars, so it looks like we're on edge here.
So, man, we were just saying during this downtime, because the last recorder just crapped out, what an old school episode of Brunch this is.
Oh, yeah. This is definitely it's got a throwback vibe. But I've also said, like, and we both agree that it's so much different to record an episode in person.
You know why? And it's similar to, not to make this weird, it's similar to the early episodes of Brunch. We're not taking each other for granted.
It's true.
Like, we're so happy to see each other. I'm
Yeah.
speaking for you. You
Yeah.
are. It is fucking making.
Well,
your
you're the
day
only
right
person
now.
that I see anymore.
That's right. We don't see people anymore. So when we see each other, it's like, oh,
person.
hell, fucking yeah. You won't believe who I saw today. Who? Pete. Pete, your Pete.
Guy
Like,
that
you
you've
always
been
see,
friends
yeah,
with for like 6 years.
you always see Pete.
Yeah.
Yeah, but oh my, something about this one though.
I mean, it is insane how happy like the simplest things make me now.
Yeah, we took us a little while to get going a few weeks ago when we were recording because we were just goofing off in the kitchen beforehand, and it's like, man, that's what we used to do too. We'd be like, oh shit, that was we're being too funny right now.
Gotta
It's not
save
even
it for the
rolling yet.
podcast.
Save it for the pod, and then without fail, whatever we did next on the podcast, even fucking better. Oh boy, then you get these Zoom ones, and just everything sucks over Zoom.
So what we're
man.
saying is that we hope you enjoy this episode because we are enjoying this episode quite a bit.
Yeah. So similar to the live, the James Blunt impersonator / Vineyard Night stream is going to be worse because that's going to be over a stream than the IRL one I do
I don't
for
know.
Pete.
I think the streams are pretty good because the streams have like the chat, and the chat is the best.
It is crazy how good the chat, and I still have not had a bad Twitch experience where someone's been like, hey, fuck you, here's what I think is wrong with you. That's all I thought Twitch would be.
Oh yeah.
And I'm gonna get back into streaming a little bit. I'd shut down for a while because, like I said, I don't like doing stuff in front of the computer, just staring and like living in front of a computer. It fucking freaks me out. I really don't like it. And also, it really hurts my back.
You have the worst. You play in a folding chair.
I was doing it in a folding chair, but I just got a chair the other day.
Did you?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I got a. It's not a gaming chair because that's just a little too loud.
You're
for me.
not there yet.
Right. Like, if we want ridiculous shit, that's where I come in. I don't need my chair doing that for me, and I want to use it for work. And I feel like if I'm,
It didn't stop me.
yeah,
I do my TV hits in the gaming chair. It's very funny.
Oh, nice. Well, we already have one person at our network. Let's see if you can get this. We already have one person on our network who does his hits from a very distracting chair. Do you know who it is? Let's see how much you've been watching.
No.
Kendrick Perkins literally does his hits from a throne.
Of course he does.
It is incredible.
Of course he does.
And like thrones are huge, right? Like they're this big thing.
And guess who else is huge?
Right. Do you know how big a throne has to be to look like a throne? With
when Kendrick Perkins is sitting in it.
longtime NBA center Kendrick Perkins sitting in it.
Does the throne fuel his takes? Because Kendrick Perkins has the best takes.
Kendrick Perkins is
He's a content machine.
I think that legitimately, not to like pump the peacock too much. That's what I just made up to say, like bragging about the peacock. I think that NBC Sports Boston has the two best wordsmiths in the business. Tommy
the
Curran
third? Okay.
and Tommy Curran will say things that sound like expressions, but they fucking aren't. But he just like makes up what sounds like a long-standing expression off the top of his head, and it'll always be extremely relevant. And I'm a big analogy guy. He'll bust out an analogy that's just like fucking incredible and hits exactly the point that he's trying to make. So I'm always stunned by that. Also love Tommy Curran because we've gotten in a real good groove of, it's uncanny. He disagrees with everything I say. I disagree with everything he says. And that's like the opposite of the classic Pete and Deej dynamic.
But it can still work.
Yes, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
Like it's so fun when you say something that like furthers like a thought that like I had and hadn't thought of yet, you know? And like we just keep like feeding and like it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Mm-hmm. It can be just as fun if like you get through speaking for like a minute, like a well thought out statement,
And the other
somebody's
person's
like,
all that's wrong.
that is exactly what I don't think. We did it on the post-game show the other night. I don't know if my mic was up, but I kind of took a risk. Curran was like, tell you what, this is why when DJ says this, it's wrong. Because this, and he was talking for a minute, and I was like, I'm going to do it. I just started doing that while he was talking.
Was your mic on?
Yeah, I think it was.
Oh,
Just doing
nice.
like
Still think one of the best moments of my 2020 is when Kendrick Perkins confused boat with vote.
Oh, that rule!
One of the best clips of all time.
That's where like he's probably a happier person than I am. I would have wanted to smash my computer after. I would have been like, this wouldn't have happened if we weren't doing this shit over fucking Zoom. Like, would have ripped my whole apartment. But that was the best.
It was so fucking funny.
They were talking about Marcus Smart Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And they were like, Perk, you're in the media now.
You've got a vote?
Yeah. And he was like,
all right, no, I had a boat. I had a boat,
it.
but I had to sell it.
Yeah.
And Scal was just like, vote.
Yeah.
Vote. You have a vote.
It's like we're specifically talking about voting on something. That was so funny. And like
just the discussion of like Marcus Smart Defensive Player of the Year, and he just thought that Scal asked him out of nowhere.
You had a boat, right?
How's your boat?
The best part was though, he wasn't just like, do I have a boat? No. He gave like
I'm glad Scott, somebody asked.
Of years type of answer. He was like, look, I did. But honestly, like you compile things throughout the years, and like even if you have a lot of money coming in, you still have to be smart with your money. And honestly, I didn't use the thing often enough to justify having it, so I sold it. And they were like,
you sold your Defensive Player of the Year vote?
Even like right away, like when he says like, nah, I got rid of it. That's you're like, okay, he gave up his vote. That makes sense. But then you start talking about like fiscal responsibility and everything, and like being wise with your paychecks. It's like he's talking about he's the best. And you know what? Like people say that he has a lot of like outrageous takes. This is why I like him. It's not where the fuck did he get that from. He always has something to back it up. Like it's coming from a place he's never thrown shit against the wall.
I think that he has. I think that he is a good analyst and has good takes, but it will never not make me laugh when other players just respond being like, "Dude, you fucking sucked."
Oh yeah, people do.
They do that all the time.
Shannon Sharp and my buddy Matt Chatham.
They do that all the time. They're like, "Perk, you cannot be critical of like these players. You sucked ass."
So I mean, I disagree with that. Like, he definitely didn't suck, but he
was
say
a role
like,
player,
right. And B, who's like the best football analyst going right? I would probably Mina Kimes, but like top 5 is Dan Orlovsky, and I'm a big UConn football guy, but I know Dan Orlovsky fucking sucked, right?
Yeah.
So like, I don't think that, and I'll be honest, I moonlight as a football and hockey analyst. I'm big enough to say it. I sucked at those sports. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you weren't great at this sport, so you can't talk about it. In fact, I think like Wayne Gretzky was going to be a shitty hockey coach, because how does he coach people?
Be me.
Go out there and be the fucking best hockey player in the world. I say it all the time. Like Eric Clapton, maybe we don't talk about him anymore. But Eric Clapton,
he canceled?
He got recanceled because him and your boy Van Morrison, I can't believe we didn't talk about this, put out an anti-lockdown song. Yo, Van Morrison gotta shut the fuck up. I've only heard from him twice this year.
I know.
Both times it wasn't good. Eric jumped on this song, and I'm sorry, Eric Clapton. Look, I grew up loving Eric Clapton. My dad was a big Eric Clapton guy. He used to take me to see him, and I think that he's underrated. People say that he's overrated because he doesn't really shred, yet he's considered one of the greatest guitar players. I love guitar players who can play something understated. Great. Yes, totally. Understated. But Eric Clapton, you've got that thing from the late 70s where you had a crazy thing where you supported a racist politician, and then on stage gave like a, what's so bad about supporting this guy? Like, I'm not racist. I'm just saying that, like, what did he say? He was like, white people should live in one place and like other people should live in another place. How's that racist? Like, he really horrifying shit, and he has spent years and years and years
like trying to
get away from that, just being like, oh my fucking God, what was I thinking? That was like, I was on all these drugs and everything, and excuses or not, like, showed legitimate contrition and remorse and disgust with himself. Like, I can't, obviously, Eric Clapton, if you know his bio, has been through a lot of shit in his life, and that's one of the things that he's like, holy fuck, like what the fuck kind of person was I? How could I have thought that? Every time you come with some dumbass shit, like stop the lockdown so we can fucking crowd people into bars for super spreader events before there's a vaccine, people are going to be like, Eric Clapton's being a shithead. You know when else he was a shithead? That time in the late 70s when he did this. Like,
yeah, it's pretty tough to live down or escape your past when you keep doing dumb shit that makes people want to bring up your past.
Right. Like, I mean, I'll admit it. I have unfollowed Phoebe Bridgers on Twitter. It's good for my mental health to... I like to separate the art from the tweets. But I was like, I bet Phoebe Bridgers is having a field day because she always brings up like Clapton and how she hates him and everything, and she famously, for me at least, said his music is too white, and I was like,
"You're Phoebe Bridgers."
Phoebe Bridgers. Anyway, I was like, let's see if she's taking a victory lap, and she just tweeted like the day that that song came out and everybody kind of redug up that Clapton did this horrible thing. She just tweeted like, "Told ya," and I was like, yeah, that's fair, I guess. But also, like,
what, is she not going to take a victory lap there?
Right. Like, yeah. So, that's that. Eric Clapton, Van Morrison, and James Blunt, with a little bit of One Direction, we snuck in. You know what I did there? I gave you the old I'd slip the pill into your dog food. I tricked you into doing a music episode. This has been a little bit of a music episode. Yeah.
It really has been.
Yeah. Before you know it, we're going to get you talking Queen's Gambit.
Absolutely not. Not happening. Also, one thing that we did this week, we finally got to watch Freaky.
Yeah, as we are now separate because we were having so much fun doing an actual episode IRL that we had to say, okay,
the episode's
cool our
too good.
jets. Let's
episode's too good. We don't want to make everybody too jealous of how good of this podcast is. So
we're easing our way back into our bullshit.
I will tell you, there's nothing that sucks more than recording separately. I don't know how people do this as like a full-time thing. I don't know how people make successful podcasts when they're not in the same room.
I don't know if they do. Like, even when the early days of Pardon My Take, I remember being like, these guys are so funny, but this kind of sucks. Like, because they're not in the same place and their mics sound different, and it's that there isn't a real energy to it. There's just a bunch of people who are clearly very good at what they're doing, but cumulatively, it's like a bad stew, you know?
So that's your cue, listeners. Stop listening. This sucks.
Yeah, this is going to be the bad part. We did watch Freaky though, and we'd had this one circled for a while. We had to wait 2 whole weeks because we didn't want to go see it in theaters. But this was the movie from the Happy Death Day guy, forget his name, but
Jason Blum.
Yes, that's right. They actually shot it. You know where they shot it? In his house.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's a good call. It's a Blumhouse exclusive.
They shot it at the Blumhouse. Vince Vaughn is a serial killer known as the Butcher, although we never really... He just kind of suddenly gets that name, but nobody says like he's known as the Butcher.
There's not really a whole lot of motive or like backstory here.
Explanation, nothing really. But it goes very quickly from like, you hear so-and-so got stabbed last night? Yeah, that's crazy. To like, oh shit, the Butcher's on the loose.
Yeah.
Kind of a trash nickname. But he is a serial killer. He steals a knife from one of the places, from one of the Blum houses where he stabs people, and uses it to stab a girl who is like kind of boring. Everyone makes fun of her. They think she dresses crappy. Christmas movie fashion. Her dad's dead.
Yep.
They give you that right off the bat. And for some reason, when he stabs her with this knife, as is later explained by a Spanish teacher, for some reason, when you stab the person with that knife, if you don't kill them, then you switch bodies, and that's what ends up happening. Vince Vaughn and this young actress switch bodies, so the Butcher, the serial killer, is a high school girl.
That's all to say, basically, that this movie is Scream meets Freaky
Face
Friday.
Off. I see Freaky Friday, sure, but it had such a face-off feel to it where
Yeah, that's true.
the good person is like, I'm trying to tell everybody I'm a good person, and the bad person's like, listen to how ridiculous that person sounds. Look at them. They look like a serial killer. I'm a good person.
Yep.
And they go around killing people. We both didn't love it.
No.
It was like I had very high hopes for it. Stan Happy Death Day, crazy about it. This was like a C plus, and honestly, probably a C plus just because I was rooting for it.
Yeah, and I also like my expectations were set pretty high by like the opening of it because in the very beginning, like tons of action off the bat, but they also one thing that I liked about it was that they sort of like they make it establish themselves as like a big wild card right off the bat because like in a lot of other slasher movies, they have like this group of teens and they're talking about like the killer and whatever, and they like play up a lot of these like tropes of slashers, and then they immediately off the bat they kill all four of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like it starts off with four high school kids, immediately kill all four of them in like the first 5 minutes. They also reveal who the killer is in the first 5 minutes, so there's no anticipation or suspense around like who the slasher or who the killer is. It's just like immediately Vince Vaughn, and I kind of like that.
Oh yeah, that is a good point. I mean, Scream and Happy Death Day obviously are who is this person? How are we gonna find out who it is? Yeah, this was they give it to you, and the what and the how is how are they going to switch back, and is the girl gonna accidentally have to date her mom, and is the girl's crush going to kiss Vince Vaughn, like actual Vince Vaughn? The answer to the last one is yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which that was it was like leading up to it, like the girl's crush in Vince Vaughn. He eventually learns, okay, this girl is in Vince Vaughn's body. This guy is not the killer. This is actually this girl I have a crush on. And there was enough flirtation that you're like, are they gonna kill? Oh, there they go. And they make out for a little bit. Vince Vaughn makes out with
good for the high school kid. He was just like, I don't really care about appearances. I like your soul, and if your soul is in Vince Vaughn's body, I'm gonna go for it.
Right, but just coming off of watching a teacher as much as we do,
very true.
It definitely was not a guy thing that concerned me. It was a kid guy thing that kind of concerned me. So that happens. How are we going to talk about these people? What are we going to call each one? Because it's very confusing. Because there isn't much time before the switcheroo happens. So I think that if we say the girl, are we talking about
Vince
Vaughn's body?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
So the girl is Vince Vaughn's body. The killer is the girl's body.
Yes.
So there were some fun and funny things about this. Like the girl has two best friends, a girl who serves as like the straight man, and then a dude who just says this dude, her friend, and her like rival, the school bully, a girl named Ryler, are really in competition to be the sorority sister in Happy Death Day, as far as like
most problematic.
Holy shit, how are you saying this in a 2020 movie kind of thing? The Ryler, the girl that bullies, I guess the killer / Millie, the main character, she's like this popular, really chatty, really gossipy girl. Again, her name is Ryler, which I think is a hilarious choice of like what's like the dude. It's kind of like it's like Jean-Ralphio. I think like it's douche.
There weren't enough tongue-in-cheek things in this movie for me for like my liking, but that was I laughed at just like the absurdity of Ryler being a name.
So Ryler bullies this girl Millie, and after they switch bodies, Millie had been stabbed the night before, and all people know is that Millie was stabbed, but that she survived, and somehow she's in school the next day, which is a little crazy to me. But the killer goes to school in Millie's body. And suddenly Ryler, who'd been shitting on Millie for being poor, wants to know all the details and wants to invite her to parties and everything. And she's like, oh, this is so cool. So she brings the killer into the locker room. She's like, yo, give me the lowdown. And the killer is not talking because it's a serial killer and is really freaking Ryler out. Ryler is mainly upset that she's not getting the details because she wants to she wants to just like spread everything that she's told. The killer starts to touch Ryler's arm, like in like a "I'm gonna kill you soon" way, and Ryler takes it as Millie hitting on her and says, "quote I'm missing AP Bio. I didn't come here to clam jam with you."
Pretty good.
That's kind of like this movie's "What time are you going to the party?"
Yeah, but that's not necessarily that bad. I mean,
right. I was just
relatively
like
speaking,
douchey and like lightly homophobic. Whereas, what time are you going to the party was just 1,000% offensive. This was a very, very graphic movie.
Oh, and established right off the bat, 30 seconds in.
I was shocked by that. I didn't think it was going to be. I thought it was like I didn't even know it was R, and then I quickly knew it was R.
Yeah, I mean, the first kill was just, I was watching it with Ellen, and the first kill, Ellen was like, okay, I'm not watching the rest of this. And she was like, she was out.
What a weird choice.
Yeah.
Why would you?
I wasn't thrilled about it. Like when I watch a thriller, I don't want to be watching, when I'm watching a slasher, I don't want to be watching like Saw.
Exactly. And it legitimately was Saw levels of graphicness. And,
The first one I think was the only one that was like very uncomfortable. Maybe that's because I got used to it. Like it like set the tone and I was ready for it. But the first one was just like, I didn't like it.
A lot of impaling. The first one was the wine bottle. Is that it?
Yeah.
That was disgusting.
They shove a wine bottle down a kid's throat. Like they jam it down his mouth and it goes like, you can see his throat like expanding and the glass breaks through his throat. And it's just, I don't do well with mouth carnage.
Nobody should do well with
throat
that.
carnage.
Yeah.
I don't do that. There's a lot of things that I can stomach, but teeth and mouth and not for me.
That was really, really disgusting. And again, such a weird choice. Who wants that in that movie? Like I'm not, if Happy Death Day was really graphic and gross, that would be like a knock against Happy Death Day for me.
I think they kind of missed the mark on like the tone. Again, I think that it wanted to be tongue in cheek, but it wasn't tongue in cheek enough, and it was too gory, too graphic. It seemed like it didn't really know what it wanted.
There was one character that I thought really did what the movie should have been doing, which was like the more comic relief, more like kind of confusing. Why is this happening? Why is this so weird? Talking about her teacher, who is played by Alan Ruck, who irrationally hates this girl for some reason.
He rules. He's the best in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yep.
He's the best in Succession.
I've never seen that. I should.
He plays like the doofy outsider brother in Succession.
I mean, he's always got to play a doofy guy.
Yeah. But he plays like a downright dickhead in this movie.
You're right. He's it's like home ec or something like that, or woodworking shop.
Yeah, I would say shop.
Right,
yeah.
right. And he hates this girl Millie, and like is always picking on her. And the thing with this character is that like she's so quiet. She's not really social. She just kind of like gets in, gets out. Doesn't want any trouble. Doesn't want any excitement. The night of the dance, she goes to see some community theater with her mom. Like she's just like a very unassuming person. Yet this teacher hates her so much, as like he makes her out to be this like Miss Thang type, which she absolutely isn't. And she shows
Apparently
up.
she's late a lot.
Right, she is late. Something happens in the cafeteria when the killer is in her body. And again, like she's done like really nothing offensive. She doesn't like cause any big hubbub or whatever. but the night after she got stabbed, she does like something minor in the cafeteria. I forget what it is, and he says, "God damn it, Millie! I am so sick of your constant need for attention." When legitimately the only thing that she had done that had brought her attention was get stabbed. So that was really
classic victim blaming.
Yes. But again, it just wasn't that funny, wasn't that ridiculous.
It didn't do anything. It didn't do anything. It didn't get like high marks in any specific area.
Right. I didn't laugh enough. Like I laughed at there was one scene that I thought was great where there are a few good scenes, but my favorite scene was Vince Vaughn, the girl, finally convinces her friends that it's her and that she is not the butcher. And they catch the killer in the girl's body and they have her tied up and they're explaining to her crush what's going on and that the girl tied up is actually the serial killer. And Vince Vaughn, which there wasn't enough of this, Vince Vaughn talking like a 16, 17-year-old versus, I don't know, like man in his 50s for a long stretch of time was very funny. And like, I think he did it well. I thought it wasn't too, it wasn't like too cliche. He wasn't like, I don't know, like twirling his hair or whatever. He was just like, had a lot of energy, was really racing through his thoughts.
He did have like a funny walk and run of like a teenage girl.
Oh, so that's funny that the character is I guess it's not funny. It's like kind of sad, but the character kind of doesn't know what to do with being physically strong and being intimidating and people just like respecting her, which is weird and sad and everything. But yeah, so like Vince Vaughn would like walk differently and just kind of did everything like a kid had to suddenly jump into Vince Vaughn's body. But there's a scene where they're explaining to her crush, Booker, that it's her and that's the killer over there that's tied up. And he's really, really talking a million miles a minute and is like apologizing the whole time. I'm like, oh my God, this must sound so crazy. I can't believe, like, you must think that we're nuts, but you got to believe me. It's this, blah, blah, blah. And the whole time the killer is sitting there, which is the serial killer trying to adapt to being in a teenage girl's body and just way overdoing like all of the teenage girlisms. So like the whole time she just like, I don't know why I was laughing so hard at it, but she's like, Booker, oh my God. I don't know. I sound like a Kevin Hart bit, but I thought that scene was really funny.
I enjoyed there's a dressing room scene where the girl in Vince Vaughn's body is hiding from the police because obviously the police are looking for the killer and that's Vince Vaughn's body that they're looking for. She's hiding in the dressing room of the store in which her mom works at. And so the cops are looking for her / him, and they're in the store. They're in the store looking for this guy, and the mom is standing outside of the dressing room. One, she offers to help him try on polos, which I don't necessarily don't understand why he need help trying on polos. But then she quickly discloses her entire life story to this guy through the dressing room door. Then like they have like a 5-minute chat, and then she asks him out on a date.
Yeah,
it was quite a preposterous scene.
Yeah, you know how I help someone try on polos?
You say, "Hey, don't be an idiot. Don't buy polos."
I say, "Hey, you only need 2 things to try on polos: polos and the trash." Let's try this on for size. I'm gonna roll it up, spike it on into the trash. That was really uncomfortable because she's just trying to comfort her mom, and her mom like gets kind of horny about it.
Yeah, very funny.
You mentioned when we were texting about this movie, pacing issues, and is it like a Vince Vaughn thing that Vince Vaughn movies have to have pacing issues where it starts strong and exciting, and then there's just such a lull, and this was like horror Wedding Crashers.
horror Wedding Crashers. I don't know. I wouldn't say that. I mean, Wedding Crashers is a great movie. Don't besmirch Wedding Crashers.
Sure, no, but Wedding Crashers, I think like legitimately.
Well, it gets off to
eyes
like
for a little
the hottest
Right.
start in the history of cinema, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know. I that is a good point that like Vince Vaughn is in a lot of movies that have issues, like a lot of issues. Has Vince Vaughn ever been in like a knock it out of the park movie?
Is Vince Vaughn a theatrical cancer, a clubhouse cancer? People don't say. Do people say that anymore? They probably shouldn't, right?
What, like
Calling someone like a
somebody
clubhouse
with
cancer?
I don't know. I think
know.
they still say it.
I'd have to look at all the meanings behind everything. But yeah, this was also they when they're trying to hide Vince Vaughn because, as you said, everyone's looking for him. They give her a mask, and very randomly, it is Aaron Rodgers, like a realistic Aaron Rodgers mask, which just distracted me because it got me thinking about. Remember when the kid was wearing a very realistic Randy Moss mask at a Patriots game?
Oh yeah. And they kept showing him on the jumbotron, and Randy Moss would like interact with him.
Right, and the kid kept doing like the Randy Moss gesture, and there was like 5 minutes back and forth of like them just doing it back, and you could tell Randy Moss was like, "All right, take the fucking camera off. All right, we've done this."
It was funny the first 2 times.
Right, like God, how many times I got to make this kid stay? Yeah, so I'll watch it again.
I don't think I will.
On like Netflix or something. I
No,
don't
I
know
don't
though.
think
Maybe I'll remember how graphic it is as I'm going to select it, and I'm like,
I mean,
you know what?
in the
Never
first
mind.
30 seconds,
Yeah,
because the first kill that they'd make immediately off the bat was enough for Ellen to be like, "This is not for me." And I think that I would remember upon seeing that, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I don't really like this movie."
yeah. They also didn't do enough with everybody else's confusion. I think that honestly, just like the concept was maybe biting off a little more than you could chew, because even as we try to explain it, we're having such a hard time saying like who the character is, and
It is very complicated, and to do like a complicated thing without explaining any of it really
yeah,
is it just like it's hard not to feel like you just aren't really in on it.
yeah. There's a scene. So as soon as Vince Vaughn realizes that he's in this girl's body, and again, this girl like dresses very unassuming, just does not want attention at all, despite what her shop teacher thinks. He immediately, "You belong with me's," herself, whatever, and just kind of like reimagines the same look that she has, but in a like classically quote unquote hotter way.
Yeah, just like
And-
with a little bit more attitude and lipstick.
Right. Which you know my thoughts on the "You Belong with Me" video, right?
Yeah, it's like you're always a hot person.
Like you were just believe in yourself. Like the story she's telling all these kids is like, just be hotter at the end. And it's like, no, just fucking feel good about yourself. And if dressing
True, but
hotter
also
makes
like
you feel better, like I don't know, it's
true, but also like at the same time, you were hot before. Like
right. Like you were Taylor Swift dressed down. And
yeah,
then
right. I mean,
you were like,
have you seen She's All That?
same exact thing. Where
It's very funny. That movie's very funny because like that girl at the beginning of the movie is an absolute babe,
Nako,
and then like
right?
what?
Nako, right? She just has like
Yeah,
glasses,
she's a babe.
which
She has,
are
like,
always
glasses.
yeah,
and she
which are
like
also
wears her
working.
hair up, and she's like artsy. And then like halfway through the movie, they like put her in a dress, they give her some makeup, let her wear her hair down, and they're like, "Holy shit, she's hot!" And it's like, well,
Yeah,
yeah.
I generally don't believe in those like transformation type things when you start with somebody who's obviously so gorgeous, but everybody's gorgeous on the inside. But guys start taking note of her. Even her dickbag guy friend, who's gay, but still very judgmental about her. He's like, "Oh my god, does she look cute?" Like, so like guys start to
Give her attention.
start to give her more attention, and she's the killer now. She's out with the boys playing pool, and one of them puts their hand on her ass, which like, what the fuck is this, high school? And she whispers in his ear, "Your touch makes this P word drier than sandpaper. I can't wait to kill you.
It's unbelievable.
And he's like, oh, cool.
hell yeah.
Yeah. And like later, she just fucking kills him. Like, so that I thought was funny that everyone's just so confused. They're like, oh, Millie's hot now. She's holding a lot of knives and stuff. And yeah. So
Yeah, I just I think I've seen the whole body swap movie a few too many times to really be like, haha, this is great.
right. Yeah. A lot of things that we've seen before.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
Again, not a good enough body swap movie, not a good enough slasher, not a good enough comedy, not a good enough like tone appropriate slasher.
yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It didn't strike the right notes in a lot of different areas.
Yeah, it's probably honestly not C plus. It's probably like C minus.
Yeah,
And
which is
rooting
disappointing
for it.
because we were excited for this for a long time, and I feel like we had to we had like a delay to be able to see it, and I had to pay $20 on demand. And
Yeah, that is true. Coughed up a lot of money to watch this. Let's quickly wrap this up with a teacher, because as much as it was great to abandon our plan and have an awesome James Blunt episode, do want to note that we said this was set in the future. Let's bring this full circle, or set
we
less
said
in
in the past that it was in the
Yes.
future.
Sorry, it was set in the past.
No, but we said in the past that it was
in the past
set
when
in
we
the
were
past
recording?
when we were in the future. Yeah.
Right.
So,
So
now
it's
we're
actu-
now we're in the future talking about what we said in the past about the past, which is progressively the future.
Actually, it was set more in the future, or in the more recent past than when we were talking about it in the past. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally get
We
that.
thought it was, I don't know,
That makes sense.
7 years and a week in the past, but in reality, it's like 7 years, 6 days, and 20 hours in the past. So, clock is ticking.
In all seriousness, the a teacher's handling of time progression is very fucking weird because they don't really like address. They don't do the whole like, hey, this is clearly like
right?
months
They
later.
just say in the beginning, they're yeah,
No,
yes,
they,
yes.
They have like one line of dialogue. Like if you had missed the first 5 minutes of a teacher this week,
yeah. I had to
and
read.
you went in and like you didn't like you'd be like, why is Eric? How is Eric in college?
Yeah,
By the way, got into UT.
Yes, that's the big thing. He's a question has been answered. We had 2 big questions about this show. One has been answered.
The
Still
other one.
waiting on that second one.
Is the band good?
When the fuck we gonna? yeah. Pete phrases it. Is the band good? I phrase it. When the fuck we gonna hear that band? But you're so right though, because I legitimately rewound the first 10 seconds because when Logan's older brother, who clearly Eric was just like using Logan to be friends with Logan's older brother, right? Is Logan that kid's
yeah.
name? I hope so.
Yeah,
He just
yeah,
likes
it is.
that-
It is.
he likes
It
the older
is.
brother
But I
so-
also feel like Eric doesn't really like the older brother. Like I feel that like the I feel like he's only friends with Logan's older brother because now he goes to school at the same school as Logan's older brother, and like he's like the one guy that he knows.
Right. Which I'm glad I didn't have that when I went to college. I knew some people who went to my college, but I definitely didn't do I'm going to spend the first couple weeks of college following around these like 3 people I know.
Also, I feel like everybody at UT or all the guys in a teacher at UT are casted to be knockoffs of Tim Riggins.
Yes.
Like it just seems like they went for as many Taylor Kitsch lookalikes as they possibly could
Right.
in like different stages of Taylor Kitsch's life, but especially Logan's older brother. They were like, this has got to be this has got to be Tim Riggins,
yeah.
and they got the most bootleg Tim Riggins they could find.
My first note, other than Eric gets into UT exclamation point, is that it just makes me mad that we didn't go to UT, and was gonna ask you like, should we just go to grad school and fucking Zoom?
What would we
Do
go
you
to
hear
grad
me?
school? Oh yeah, you froze real quick.
Okay,
I got you.
Okay, but to be like, let's go back to school.
I was gonna say,
Go to
what
grad
would we
school.
what would we go to grad school for? What
I
would
don't
we go to
know.
grad school for?
I have no idea. What would you go to grad school for?
Absolutely. Considering that like my undergrad degree is almost completely useless, or
Right.
like has
Yeah,
been completely useless to like my actual career, like I don't know or care what I would go to grad school for.
here's what my undergrad degree did. My undergrad degree currently serves to make me the annoying douchebag who knows AP style and occasionally
Hmm.
will say to my
Can
coworkers
confirm.
like, "Hey, can we write this out this way? Because this is the way it should be." And I sound like an annoying fucking know-it-all dick, but I learned to care about this stuff and how things should.
I didn't even get that in college.
Ah,
You
what?
honestly should be an editor.
I don't know. It's a lot of reading.
I mean,
And also, that's like not a job anymore,
true.
which is fucking scary.
it is at my place of.
It is.
of
I'm kidding.
so-
It is at my place too. But the people that we
but
have at
you're
my
just the
place
guy who does it.
are no. The people that we have in my place are better at it than I would be, and I don't know. Like I'll read some websites, won't name names, and be like, hey, this place needs more editing. But I know that just this business is in a weird way right now. But yeah, generally, like I think that both of you have your job because because of your personality and because of your social media. I think that my job
Yeah,
is
and just like
generally
doing shit
based
myself.
right. I think my job is generally based on my personality more than it is on my degree or anything. So definitely wouldn't go back and get anything in this field. I don't know. Like I have thought about if there's a round 2 of this, like doing some like online courses, just like music theory, like shit that interests me, but not for not for any like professional types of reasons. But if I had to like if I got out of the business and decided I was going back to school, I have no fucking idea what it would be for.
Yeah, but I'd be down to like just like move to Austin. And,
Right, so
like,
that's the
go to,
thing, like
1 or 2 classes a week and like be like yoga horns.
You know what we would be?
Hook 'em.
We would be undeclared grad school students. We'd be in grad
Hell yeah.
like, so back to school, what for? Yeah, feeling it out. You know, don't really have a major yet. It's like, I don't think there are majors in grad schools. I think you just go and get something. What are you getting? I don't really know yet. I think just kind of play it by ear. Right now, I'm just kind of getting used to the school, the
Like a
curriculum.
quadruple minor guy. I don't know.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
see.
Oh God, that'd be so cool.
We would be the old school guys. We would be the two of us in a house right by campus, and Vince Vaughn would live there with us, and we would talk about Freaky.
Yo, that would be so cool if we like I will fuck up I can't say that. That would out of context that was going to sound horrible.
What were you gonna say?
I was going to say God, I can't even say it the clean way. I was going to say I would fuck up meaning like I would definitely do like I would try really hard at the opposite of the thing that you study that isn't your main focus, but it's your secondary focus in
A
college.
minor. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So I was saying I would
Let's
I would
mess
get-
with a minor.
I would get a lot of minor degrees.
Okay.
Now I don't necessarily want to redo college and do like a major, but I would
This
do, like,
just in. DJ talking about a teacher would totally fuck with a minor.
so isn't that so weird? There's like no way of saying that.
No.
There's no way that we've found a real loophole in the English language. How do you convey your enthusiasm to
Like successfully acquiring a not a major degree, but
Yeah.
like the one under that.
boy, that was scary. Nice try, Satan. But honestly, I had a minor in college that I didn't complete because I was like, I don't care enough about this minor.
Mm-hmm.
But
My dad also said I don't care about this minor.
if there were
But if I could go and like get a bunch of those types of concentrations, then I would. I'd get a minor in, I don't know, a bunch of things. Just be a lot smarter of a person. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I know that I'm definitely
Still haven't
not
named
gonna-
one. Still have not named one. But yes, I would. We'll go back to school. We have to. Let's make it like a marriage pact. If at whatever age,
If I'm not smart by 35,
yes.
Brunch goes to college.
If at whatever age we're both unsatisfied in any aspect of our life, we say that's it. We're going back to college.
Well, I'm only getting dumber and more unsatisfied by the day. So
Absolutely. It is crazy how stupid I've gotten. I don't know. I think that most people consider themselves kind of smart, and I think that we're all smart in our own ways.
I don't know. I think
a lot more like you're fucking dumb, DJs.
I'm confused on that though, because I feel like the smart people realize that they get dumber by the day.
Yes. So did somebody there's I forget what this is called, but for whatever reason, I think Mark Bertrand was talking about it one day. There's this thing where smart people know that they're smart, but stupid people think that they're smart.
Mhm.
So like everybody thinks that it's rare that somebody's like,
Oh, I'm dumb.
I'm not that smart.
I don't think that I'm that smart. I don't. Like I really don't.
I don't know.
I think that in general, like I have areas where I'm committed to knowing things,
Exactly.
but I'm not smart.
I think I'm smart and useful in certain areas, and the other areas I am almost like defiantly stupid.
Oh hell yeah!
Well, like I refuse to know how to do. Like if someone's like, "Hey, you know how to change a tire?" I'm like, "Go fuck yourself." Like that makes me stupid. I don't know how to change a tire. Right?
It's just your reaction being like,
And
"Go."
my mom's
fuck
like,
yourself."
"That doesn't put a tire on the car. Now you're just being an asshole. Why were you so mean?"
Well, at least like I guess like you're at least smart enough to know that you can't do things.
Yeah.
I really
suppose.
do think that like at any point in time, any person could convince themselves that they're smart. Like I'm smart enough to realize that I'm stupid at this thing.
Yeah.
And then that's a complete spin zone about like you being smart.
That's true, right? Would a dummy
Ooh, a stupid
be able to
person.
tell that I'm stupid, and people be like, "I think so.
Would a
Yeah, you're really stupid." I
Yeah,
don't
so
know.
I'm pretty sure that we're both pretty stupid.
Yeah, but hey, let's put a pin in this because not ruled. Next time we go to Austin, should we take a tour?
Oh yeah, with Claire. Claire can show us around.
Oh, excuse me. That's you're talking about a convict, and the reason we know in this episode that Claire goes to jail is because the gist of this episode, Eric gets into UT, and all anybody does is talk about how he used to fuck his teacher, which is unbelievably insincere, but also like this was 2014 or whatever. Like you can be shocked by like how much things change in 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, 4 year, however many years, with like the world. Like people were not at all sensitive. I actually kind of do believe this.
Absolutely,
People
especially in college.
right? Like people were not sensitive to like that he'd been through some shit, and they
Yeah.
were more like,
What a legend.
This name is never said, but the whole episode suggests that Eric's nickname in college is like teacher fucker.
Yeah,
Like-
pretty much. And like and people like find ways to bring it up out of nowhere. Like he was hooking up with this girl, and she was like, "I know who you are." I was like, there's no reason to bring that up right
Yeah.
there.
She's like, what'd your teacher show you? Like, can you like show me what she taught you or whatever? And I'm like, I don't think she taught him how to have sex, but anyway, it's And then
this was by far like, even though that I think that that's somewhat realistic, I do think that this episode was the most far-fetched and exaggerated of any episode that's been made this far.
I hope so, because I initially really wanted to go to UT when I saw the episode start at UT, and I was like, fuck, that's where we belong. God, like, not with those kids or anything, but like,
yeah, it started in a frat, so I hope not.
Yeah, there should be some like grad school version of, I don't know, like if there was like a 30 and up version of college, and it was like, I don't know, just like exactly my age, I'd be like, okay, Pete, come on, you're coming with. We're going to UT.
Absolutely.
My treat. We have to get student loans though. Let's go. We're going to college. But then as soon as any of the kids start talking, and again, like it's college kids, so they're supposed to be really stupid but really confident. Mm-hmm. There we go again with like the dumb but think you're smart. I hated all those kids so fucking badly. One kid says, there's a scene where, and this is the first time the whole series where I've been like, hey, it wouldn't look like that, or like this isn't well done, because I do think this show's been really well done. Bunch of dudes are sitting around, each smoking a joint.
Yeah, like,
and what? I was like, how much weed do they have?
Yeah, I mean, Eric seemed to have like weed very handy
endless
throughout high school.
Right. I think that Eric was growing or something, but they're all sitting around, each smoking a joint, and the
one that really threw me off, I don't know if you're going to say the same one, but go ahead.
One kid says, wait, you hooked up with your teacher? And another kid goes, yeah, bro, like multiple times, then sent her ass to jail like a fucking savage, and is like looking for a high five from Eric, who is not speaking this entire conversation because he's like crying because they're bringing up painful shit that's probably still raw for this child that just went through an absolutely asinine experience, and like he thought it was love and all this shit.
Yeah, that one was wild. The one to me that was like absurd was one of the kids was like, yo, bro, did she have a bush or a landing strip? I was like, well, at what point would anybody ask that question?
Oh, dude. I would honestly be like, what the fuck did you say? Like,
yeah.
Did I just mishear? Did I just mishear every word that you just said?
2014 dumbass me would be like, what kind of question is that?
Right, exactly. Like 2014 college kid, probably thinking dumb, stupid things because you're such a dumb fucking kid, would be like what?
Even if you're the dumbest, horniest frat bro in the entire world, that is not the first question that would come up for anybody.
Oh my God. Even if, and if someone was like, hey, be a real douche, and like you're talking shop with the guys, what do you ask? Again, like that's just not my scene. Bunch of dudes sitting around with individual joints, talking shop. I'd be like, I don't know. How's the sex life? Are you two compatible? I don't know.
They CGI'd in all those joints to promote coronavirus awareness.
Maybe, but
they didn't want to share those germs.
So that was fucked. He hooks up with the girl who is like quizzing him about how he fucked his teacher, and then later,
like mid-sex, by the way,
and then later responds to his booty call, and when he shows up, is like,
that was so painful.
Hey, and I get this too. She's like, hey, like, I told my friends about what happened the other night, and they were like, yo, not fucking cool. I shouldn't have been doing that. Which, like, her friends are
good
right.
Friends, yeah.
Right? Her friends are right, and like that's what friends are for. I guess that's where like talking shop can be beneficial. She's like, hey, so hooking up with a guy, getting hot and heavy. I start pestering him about like being statutory raped, and their friends are like, excuse me. So she like apologizes as she should, and then he's like, okay, cool. No, it's okay. It's fine. I don't want to talk about this. He starts kissing her, and she's like, hey, I want to take it slow with you. You've been through a whole lot. So I think that we should take it slow. And then he's all fucking mad because he's like, I fucking texted you up. You responded. We have to have sex now. I'm like, oh my God. I think all these characters are the worst fucking person.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Pretty
That episode accomplished what it was trying to do, which was like show how he's navigating the aftermath of this, which is not well. People treating him differently. Him kind of being an asshole as a result. And there's one scene where he's like, maybe kind of wants to die. Are they off-roading? They're in a car. But
They're
there's
like
a road. There's a dirt road.
They're like dirt roading, I guess,
Okay.
in a Jeep,
So they're on,
which seems like a perfectly douchey bro thing to do.
again, like the very beginning makes me think like I want to go to UT, and then they show how the people act at UT in this show, and I'm like, I'll just do some like University of Phoenix, like stay at home, pass. But he gets on top of the Jeep and is lying down on his chest and tells them to go as fast as they can because the show realized it had gone like 15 seconds without making us extremely uncomfortable. Now suddenly we have like a somebody's gonna fucking die scene. It was I mean, he ends up falling off the car and is like fucks up his body and face and everything. Doesn't die, but crazy episode. And then at the end, so here's what you missed. I know you're gonna finish the episode.
No, I finished it.
Okay, so then he ends up doing shrooms with a stranger.
Yeah. Hilarious.
Just lies out in the. So some dude with glasses is like, "Hey, I've been sexiled," and he's like, "I know it. Cool. Like, it's gonna happen." Kid's like, "You want to do shrooms?" He's like, "Yeah."
I was honestly waiting for that kid to be like, "Yeah, I bet you sexiled your younger brother when you had sex with your teacher."
And then that's right. Like he finally finds someone who isn't talking to him about because legitimately his mom, everybody is
Literally everybody's like,
friends.
"Yo, remember that time you had sex with your teacher?"
Right.
Kid can't escape it.
It's right, and like again, clearly, just look at the kid for a second. He's not answering the questions quickly. He's not comfortable with it. Like, do what the mom did, which is like, hey, if you need to talk, I'm here. Okay, I got you. I love you. All of his
They even had a
friends.
stripper. They even had a stripper in the episode.
Oh!
The stripper was like,
A stripper's.
"You're a bad student."
Yeah. What the fuck? They
That was wild.
Cray, yeah. He gets into a fraternity and they bring in a stripper. She gives him a lap dance, and like as soon as she sits on his lap, she's like, "I hear you fuck teachers." I'm like, "Oh my God, how is?" Oh, the rough time for Eric. Like he legitimately is.
That being said, have you
Correct.
heard him say like at any point in time he's like, "I would not like to talk about the time that I fucked my teacher."
Right. There are opportunities for him to say it to Logan's brother, and he
Like,
just doesn't
"Yeah, man,
do it.
Just cool it, please."
Right. He doesn't do it. He's like,
Well, and they have a sincere conversation about it, like one of the mornings after in this episode.
Oh,
where he's like,
yeah.
"Yo, that must be like kind of fucked up and stuff." And he's like, "Yeah, it's super fucked up." And then like they just go back to them like razzing on him.
yeah, that's true. Right. Because is it Logan's brother that's like, hey, like this has to be difficult for you because although you're different ages, you were both people who were feeling things, and like you didn't want her to go to jail. You didn't want her to get in
Right.
trouble. Like you felt something for this person. And he's like, yeah, that's like, I'm so glad someone has finally said that.
And
And
like,
that's what I was
12
trying to tell
hours
the
later,
prosecutor.
that same dude. 12 hours later, that same dude's like, "Teacher fucker."
Yeah, right, exactly. He's like, yeah, that's why. Like, I was trying to tell the prosecutor that, like, this was a person who messed up. Neither of us should have done it, but I just wish that people would consider that there were feelings involved, and this was like a very difficult thing. And he's like, yeah, I imagine. All right, you want another beer, teacher fucker? And then like the episode continues. And you're like, oh
It's
my,
insane.
yeah. So I mean,
The wheels might be coming off here.
so there's 3 episodes left. Do we hear the fucking band? And I would think the next one has to be like the Claire episode. Do you think?
Yeah, because Claire gets out. I would assume that it's going to be a very heavily Claire,
Mhm.
and then maybe like some Eric coming in.
Okay, all right. So 3 episodes left. Let's split this up. Claire gets to have an
'Cause
episode.
he just got
Fair is
an
fair.
episode.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Eric got his own episode. Fair is fair. We get a Claire episode. Fair is fair. That gets you Claire. Little teacher rapping for you. 2 episodes left after that. Can we just get 1.5 Matt episodes? Can we get
I am very I'm honestly like very interested in Matt. Like, what do you do when your wife goes to jail
right
for having sex with a minor?
Right. What's can they show Matt's in surgery and they're like, "Excuse me, Matt, we need you." And he's like, "What are you talking about? I'm in surgery right now." And they're like, "There's an emergency." He's like, "What kind of emergency?" And the guy's like, "The emergency is," and it's Dee Snider, and he's like, "I want to rock." And he like it shows they all have like the instruments there. They're like, "Come on, we're gonna go play a gig," and he's like, "Oh yeah, all right." And they run off, and they got there's like wait, is that tour bus ours? Like, yeah, you bought it because that's what you do. You spent all of you and your wife's savings on stuff for this band. You saw this. Not a great time right now, I would say, for like the surrounding the auxiliary cast of A Teacher, right? Obviously not a great time for the main cast of A Teacher. The Claire worse than the frat boys, but God, a lot of people in this episode sound quite rough. So I don't know. Give us 1.5 Matt episodes, and then
we'll call it a day.
Right, but one of them has to be the finale, and it's an hour long. And so,
how funny would it be if what if they just played out like the rest of the series? They did the next 3 episodes, and then it was like A Teacher special event, and it was just like a live show of Matt's band.
Yes. Oh God, we got to make it. We have to make Matt fan cams.
Hell yeah.
We
should just have Matt on the podcast. I don't know how down he would be to like make jokes about like his character in A Teacher, but I'd like to find out if he's willing to.
Look, I would be down. I'd be like, "Hey, we watch this show for the dramatic purposes of it, and like everybody, we've been basically throwing up every week as we watch this show because it's so uncomfortable. We've also caught feelings for your character's storyline. We couldn't help but notice that the show was extremely judgmental about dudes who want to rock. Did you have to know how to play your instrument to take that job? Like, let's just talk about rocking for a little bit.
Yeah, we can just say they didn't allow you to let you soar and let you flap your wings as a musician, as a dude who wants to rock.
The floor is yours.
We would like to give you this platform.
Yes, we are using our voice to give you a voice.
Yours. Yes.
Please rock.